Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of In the Booth. It is I, Flobo Boyce, high upside in the press box, hanging with people who are doing an impactful way of supporting the sport. Now, you know me, I'm a Brooklyn boy through and through. Let's go Mets, but I live in Southern California these days, and well, the whole world was abuzz. Get it? When a brand new team was being announced, Ontario Tower Buzzers, and right now I'm being joined by the general manager of that brand new squad. Please welcome Allan Benavides to the show. Sir, how's it going?
Doing good, man. Breathing finally a little bit, right? Just finally opened. It was a lot of work, but excited to see what's going to happen.
You know, I have to ask this right off the rip because it's not every day that you get to see a team debuting. Like, how is that different than just managing a team day to day? What were some of your like one-time responsibilities that were like, part of that?
You know, what's difficult about opening a new team in a new stadium in a new city is that nobody's worked together, right? I mean, we've been together for months now, right? In an office setting, getting our ticket sales and our sponsorships and but the team just arrived. It's a new affiliate. The team's been here for 4 days. Our F&B team has never worked a baseball game, so they're like not sure how much to prep and whatnot. So imagine throwing like the biggest party ever in your new home, and you don't know where all the rooms and closets and like where all the staff. It's just a lot of things that could go wrong. And so from my perspective, it's trying to manage, at a 30,000 foot level, but then also getting down on the ground floor to take trash out or whatever it is, just to make sure that things are working. So I think the hardest part is just, kind of everybody getting on the same page.
Yeah.
On opening day. There's so much excitement and there's so much anticipation for the new team and the new brand that it kind of gives us a long leash for some mistakes, because I'm a little OCD on some stuff, and while like I learned that we made, throughout the night, we made a number of mistakes, right?
Right.
Most of the fans never would have noticed, they were just so excited to be there, and so it was pretty cool.
A lot of things too about the shifting of or having a new team in the area was like the education campaign. You had to run almost parallel, saying the Quakes are no longer going to be a Dodger affiliate. This new team was going to be, we're bringing them old Modesto nuts. I mean, it felt like you were doing like three things at once. You're prepping your team. You're making sure people understood what their affiliations were going to be. It was kind of an odd time here in SoCal.
It's interesting that you bring that up. Most people don't understand minor league baseball. And I would mean that the hardcore baseball fan gets it, right? But the casual fan doesn't necessarily understand what single A, double A, triple A. I mean, it's amazing how many times people are like, "Are you guys triple A?" Or, how soon are you guys going to get to the Dodgers? And I have to explain to them how minor league baseball works and how it's kind of like this ladder, and like the guys are climbing up the ladder, and the first part of the ladder is single A, which is here, and then they go to high A, and then they go to double A and triple A, and then they're like, inevitably they're like, oh wait, this isn't even AAA, and so people don't really get it, and so then trying to get even more granular as to like why the Dodgers are here, and like the Inland Empire 66ers Angels affiliate moved to the Quakes, and the Quakes moved here, and then like Modesto shut down, so that Mariners affiliation moved. I mean, like honestly, I've tried explaining it, but at some point you just say, hey, we're minor league baseball and we're the Dodgers. You have to leave it at that because it's confusing. It's really confusing.
Oh yeah, and I know I'm originally from Brooklyn, where my local team, the Cyclones, are the high A affiliate of the New York Mets. And so when someone goes to Brooklyn to watch a game, sometimes there's some tourists who think they're at the Mets game, even though they're at Coney Island and they paid $8 for a ticket. So
right. It's funny because I think we built a ballpark here that is very reminiscent of a AAA stadium. So people come in, they're just like they literally come into the stadium and they're like, damn, this is the nicest minor league stadium I've ever seen, because people are used to maybe some of the other ballparks in the area, which are nice ballparks, but they're 30 years old, right? So now you've got the nicest stadium in the country right here in Ontario, and people just make assumptions.
I'm going to jump ahead and get right to that. The facility, I haven't seen it in person. I've seen renderings, I've seen videos. I saw the party when the identity was revealed. State of the art, man. And with that comes expectations, I guess, for making sure the fan experience is up to par. What was that even like at the stage, and making sure the building can somehow go lockstep to what you want to present to the clients, the fans, when they walk their turnstiles?
Yeah, the stadium from the get-go, And prior to us even being involved with Diamond Baseball or myself, there had been this theme of aviation in the design of the ballpark, and so that lent itself into naming the team the Tower Buzzers, because we knew that there was an aviation element to it. The naming rights of the stadium had been sold to the airport, and so trying to think of like how we had three challenges. We were like, okay, how do we honor the aviation theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we honor the lore of like the traditional Dodger fan? And then also, how do we maintain our own Tower Buzzers minor league identity, right?
Right.
And so, in coming up with those ideas and like goals, we started thinking about the music at the stadium. What are our people wearing? What's some of the design on the floor? So like you come to the stadium, like on the ground, there's like tarmac markings. It looks like you're at an airport. All the graphics on like the wayfinding all look like text that you would see at an airport. There's a plane out in the outfield and a giant runway. When a home run happens, the airplane like makes a sound and it looks like it's taking off, and the runway lights up. We have this gorgeous Dodger video board out in left field that looks just like the one at Chavez Ravine. It's gorgeous with the 76 ball on top of it and everything.
Yeah.
And then we had to like, how do we honor, like, how do we come up with a brand that's tied into all that, right? And we came up with the Tower Buzzers, which was controversial for sure. People were like,
controversial is a bit of an understatement, man.
yeah. That's the worst name I've ever heard of.
Right.
When we got all the hate for it, I was like, yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of things I want to unpack there, because for me, again, I haven't been there in person yet. It's going to change, I swear. But it did remind me of the old Jethawks theme when they had that team up there in Lancaster.
Oh, yeah, Lancaster.
It was like 75 miles away. What a commute that was. But the name to me, I was one of those guys on Instagram. I mean, I should probably delete my messages before this goes live, asking why, right? There's so many aviator team names, but I also understood there were so many aviator team names that were taken, right? So I understand there's a process of having something that's unique. So I guess the question I have was, how long and how extensive was the process? Did you have whiteboards? Is there focus groups? Was this like a small group? Was it just the airport you worked interface with to come up with a name you guys eventually settled on?
Yeah, so there was a number of people involved: the city, the airport, our ownership, and there was a lot of folks kind of going back and forth. I mean, it went weeks going back and forth, right? And to your point, like the one thing we didn't want to do was we didn't want to be like the pilots or the aviators, right? Or the wingmen. Like there's nothing fun about that. There's nothing controversial about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so not that it has to be controversial, but you want, there's this old saying that you don't want apathetic vibes to your brand, right? Like I'd rather have you hate the logo than not care about it, right?
Right.
And so when we came up with this brand, we were thinking, okay, well, this is kind of fun. It's tying into Southern California, the entertainment capital of the world, right? The history of the airport has some naval history to it because they had to move planes in from the coast during World War II to extend the runways and whatnot, and that's why we have a P-38 in the outfield. And so we started thinking about Top Gun and buzzing the tower and Hollywood and it just made sense to us, like the Tower Buzzers, right?
Right.
And it's certainly a movie that's 40 years old, but the sequel just came out not that long ago.
Right.
There's another one coming out, and so we feel like it has a lot of legs to it. And we felt that once you came to the ballpark and you saw all the aviation themes and you see all the ushers, like all our ushers, we have 60 ushers a game, and they're all dressed like pilots.
That's cool.
Our promo grounds crew, like the grounds crew on the field doing all the promotions, they're dressed as like the deck officers on top of an aircraft carrier.
Wow.
And so like we've leaned into it, right? And so when you come to the ball game, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And so you hear the sound, you hear the chime like you're on an airplane, during the game, where it's a lot of audio and visual nods to the aviation theme and to the Tower Buzzers. And so like it makes sense. Like that's how we activate the brand, and we have like songs from the movie and whatnot. So we think it's fun, and I think people have come around on it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we say things like red and white socks and don't bat an eye anymore. But I bet when it first, if you had a team today, you couldn't call them after socks. They're like,
No,
what? What are you
oh,
doing?
100%, right? 100%, right? Like, you'd be like, oh, what are you talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. The pink
But
socks.
look, people hated it. We saw all the hate on socials and whatnot, but it was, it's whatever, right? Like we knew that, give us a shot, come to the game,
Yeah.
we're gonna entertain you and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, you know what? I say this. I wear a Lansing lug nuts hat, so like I get it. Sometimes Goofy sells tickets. Let's take it a step back, man. What does that phone call look like when the job came up? And was it a thing you had to think about, or was like, oh heck yeah, I'll be a general manager of Team
Dude,
Ontario?
so what's funny about that is Thanksgiving 2024, I came home. I'm from Southern California, born East LA, parents live in La Habra. Um, Dodger fan my whole life. Been in the
Wow.
business, 20 plus years. And my mom would always be like Mijo, like when are you gonna work for the Dodgers? And I'd be like, Mom, like I don't want to work for the Dodgers ever. I just want to be a fan. I don't want to see how the sausage is made. I just want to be a fan and go to Dodger Stadium. Don't care about being a Dodger affiliate, right? Because up to that point in my career, I'd been with the Padres, the Cubs, and the San Francisco Giants, right? And my
Mhm.
mom was like, when we became a Giants affiliate in Oregon, my mom was like, no, I can't wear your stuff anymore. And I'm like, Mom, it's just a job.
Right.
Um, this job came, so I'm home for Thanksgiving 24, and as a Dodger fan and as somebody who works in business, I drove to the stadium site to see where the stadium was going to be, not having the job, and then took a picture in front of the site, future home of the Ontario baseball team, and took it like one of these pictures, right?
Hmm.
Fast, go back to like March of the next year. I get a call saying that they're interested in me to maybe take over this team, and I'm like super flattered, right? But also thinking about it because I was in Eugene, Oregon. I'm in the middle of trying to build a stadium there for the team. I've been there 15 years. Um, but the opportunity to come home back to Southern California,
Yeah.
the industry that I love, um, to work for the team that my heart's gone to since I was a baby, to open a brand new stadium and a brand new team, and frankly, probably the nicest stadium in the country. Um, it was pretty hard to say no. I'm not gonna lie. There was maybe a dinner with my wife and I talking about it, but the answer was obvious. I mean, I had to take this. I had to take the chance.
Was it one of those dinners where you came with pros and cons, like please convince me otherwise, or was it like tell me why I should not do this because you shouldn't be so close to something you love, it shouldn't be so something you want to be a part
No,
of
that
because
didn't
you
come up.
okay,
My wife, bless her, she's always been the one to push me
let's
to take
go.
chances. And so when I took the job in Eugene, Oregon in 2010 from Southern California, I said no. I told, and my wife looked at me. She goes, "Are you crazy?" She's like, "You're taking this job." She's like, "You're going to go up there and you're going to be up there for, I was up there for 6 months without my wife and my son.
Mhm.
And while she finished, she's a school teacher, and my son was finishing second grade or something. And so, I'm so thankful that she pushed me to take that job because it landed me here. And, every step you take, takes you to a certain place. And at that dinner, my wife was like, "This has been waiting for you. This is what you've been working for. Like, you've got to take the shot." And don't get me wrong, we loved Eugene. We loved Oregon. Oregon's an amazing place.
Right,
Amazing.
right.
Um, but man, being able to come home right now, and like, was there a better time to be a Dodger affiliate? Let's be real. Like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny too because you can't argue with the brand. I mean, the brand is global. I mean, when I was a kid, you traveled abroad, you may see a Yankee cap or Red Sox cap, but now more than ever, it's like Dodgers and that's cool. It's a cool thing to be on that upswing
No
for sure.
doubt. We're in that upswing, and I don't see it slowing down at
Hmm.
all. So,
I'm actually going to the Dodger Stadium next week. And the boys, the New York Mets are in town, so I gotta go do my yearly thing. So
what day? When are you going?
the 14th, go ahead the 14th of
Okay,
April. So yeah.
I'm going up to the 10th.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you got to make sure you got to pay the boys some tribute. So for those of you who don't know, like, because I know there's some nuances and differences. I mean, you don't really do much work with personnel as much as a major league club. What do you do day to day that makes you stand out? Makes you like the grind of being a GM at the minor league level.
Yeah, the grind with the Dodgers and being a minor league GM is really business focused, right? We're really making sure that our ticket sales are done, our sponsorships are done, our promotions, all the media, our social media team, working with our F&B team, making sure that we're ready for the night, right? I mean, the way I equated it is, we're planning 66 weddings. Like it's an event. Every game is a wedding, is what I tell staff. Like it could be the only game that somebody comes to, and it needs to be the same game as if it were opening night or 4th of July. So every game means a lot to us. And so that's the big stress, right? Making sure that the staff and everybody, hundreds of staff, make sure that they know what's going on and that their supervisors understand what the goals are, right? My job with the Dodgers is really making sure that they have the field ready, that they have everything they need for travel and whatnot, the equipment's ready for them to go, and then working with the player development team to make sure that Shu and the coaching staff have everything they need. So, as far as like the decisions from the Dodger standpoint and like player personnel, that's definitely coming from the Dodgers and their headquarters in Phoenix and in LA, making the changes, roster changes and whatnot. I really don't bug them too much about that stuff. I know there are some GMs that do, but I know my place. My place is to bring in as many people to the stadium and make sure that we have the media and clout and energy behind a brand that really does affect play on the field, right? I want our players to come every night. I want them to see a big full crowd because it does energize them. It does make them want to play better at home, and winning's always great. But our job isn't about winning. Like winning's gravy, right? But if we can win, it's sports, right? It's baseball. We want to win, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure people have a good time.
So that comes to my next question about what does it mean to build a culture from scratch? I mean, not only is it the maximizing revenue, how much of the Dodgers parent club do you leverage? How much you try to craft that your own? I know fans have a certain experience with the aviation theme, but when people walk away from the stadium, what do you want them to think of when they beat their chest and they go, "I'm a Tower Buzzers fan"?
Yeah, I mean, I want them. Look, I think first and foremost, I'd be ignorant to not recognize how strong the Dodger brand is. If you look at our uniforms, it's white and blue with the red number. It looks like a Dodger uniform. I mean, shoot, you come to one of our games. If you were to come sit down in the bowl behind the home plate and close your eyes, you'd think you're at Dodger Stadium. I've got a live organist. I've got a backup DJ for the Dodgers, the backup organist for the Dodgers, with backup PA announcer for the Dodgers. Like, it feels like you're at a Dodger game. It sounds like you're at a Dodger game, right? So when people leave here and they leave our games, I want to make sure that they felt like their dollars were well spent. They had a good time, whether we won or lost. And I want them to understand that they're part of our community, right? Like we want this team to ingrain itself into the Inland Empire and be the Inland Empire's community's team, right? I mean, for us, that's really, really important.
How do you do that? I mean, you can sponsor so many events, you can give away so many bats and balls, but I mean, how does that look like in 2026?
Well, I think it takes a few things, right? I think as you mentioned, there's a ton of community events. We do a ton in the community, a ton of reading programs, ton of parades, ton of holiday events, Halloween, nonprofit events, you name it. People are calling us, can you be here? Can you be there? And the answer is always yes, unless we're already booked, but the answer will always be yes. We want to help as much as we can, but also how do we activate our brand during games for community good? Like we had a kid, JoJo, who was celebrating. This is an awful story, but we try to make it as, celebrate as much as we can. But JoJo, a year ago on Saturday, was the victim of a gun accident, shot in the head, and the kid made it. And we went to his little party he had with the police at the park and took our mascot and then invited the family to come to the game. We put them in a suite. We paid for all that, paid for all their food. Honored JoJo as a hero of the game with the cops that caught the bad guys, and it's like little things like that, right? How do we do it, right? It's we're in a Latin community, and so Spanish music, we lean into our demographic that's 70% Latino. As a Latino GM in this business, there's only a few of us. I'm very proud of my ethnicity and my heritage, and I'm very proud to display that with our fans. And I know they love seeing and being represented in Southern California at a baseball game. And so how do we do all those things? And how do we also be a part of the LGBTQ community? So we're going to continue doing Pride Nights. We're going to do military appreciation nights for our veterans. We're going to do police appreciation nights. We're going to do faith nights. We're going to do, a dozen cultural nights this summer. So it's continuously, it's not just baseball. You're just not coming to a baseball game. You're coming to an event, and that's really important when we think about our promotions and how we activate our brand in the off season, so to ensure that we have spectacular experiences during the season.
Probably as an aside, and I know the intentions are mean well. Like if I was GM of a team, I'll pretty much do what you're doing. But is there any kind of like hesitation with the cultural push of games? Are you worried about blowback from certain communities, but other communities being celebrated when you come up with these things?
Yeah, I mean, you get blowback, right? So yeah, so we get blowback. I've done it. I've been doing this for 20 years, and so when we do any sort of cultural thing or pride thing, or you inevitably always get that hate email, right? You get that,
Hmm.
like, oh, I didn't appreciate this, and inevitably, the reality of the situation, as somebody in my position is, the person who's emailing me about like Latino Heritage Night, or the anthem being sung in Spanish and they don't like it. It's generally like it's that fan who maybe doesn't like our Pride Night. But then the person who likes our Pride Night may not like that we're doing Military Appreciation Night. Or,
Hmm.
I mean, like, you can't please everybody. You know what I mean? But I want to make sure that everybody's represented as best we can here at the stadium. And so we try to include everybody. Obviously, we can't do everybody, but we're certainly like, if somebody comes up to us and they want to do a Taiwanese Heritage Night, like, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
You guys want to do Asian Heritage Night? Let's do it. Like, people have come to us wanting representation at games and do groups, and how can they entertain like pregame and do dances and learn music and whatnot, and we certainly welcome all of that. So
Yeah.
is there blowback? Your question is, am I worried about the blowback? No.
Yeah, it's a smart call. Here in Los Angeles, our hockey team, the LA Kings, I go there once a year to watch my Islanders lose to them. I think a couple of years ago, Atlanta Armenian Heritage Night, and I'm not Armenian, but I was like, that's cool. Like, I like the fact that I can learn something about the music being played and the food offers from other cultures, not my own. It's
100%.
pretty cool. You know what I
I
mean?
don't think it's a bad thing, man. Like,
Yeah,
like, we're in a weird time right now, man. I think people are scared of talking about you know their ethnicity and like cultural stuff, and I think it's what makes our country beautiful, right? I think
yeah.
it's why I think the people, and in Southern California specifically, you get to see so many different types of folks from different cultural backgrounds. It's beautiful to see, and we want to make sure that they're all welcome in our ball games, every night of the year.
Yeah, I may be the only person, but if you ever have a Caribbean night or West Indian night, you give me a call. I'll show up.
Hey, we actually, it's funny you brought that up. We've been talking about that with one of our groups here about doing a Caribbean night. So
Say the word. You know where I'm at. Well, okay. When you were a kid, man, I gotta ask, who was your guy? Were you into Fernando Mania? Were you into somebody else?
oh God, yeah. I mean, Fernando, like it's not even close. I mean, I still have a couple of Valenzuela's jerseys. He was my guy, man. Like, I look, as a brown kid growing up in LA, seeing him even at a young age, right? At like the age of like 11 and 10, I understood that significance, right? Because I could see it in my parents, I could see it in the community, and like I couldn't say I saw myself doing that, but we all dreamt of being in the big leagues, right? And seeing the way he did it so different than other guys, right? Like that crazy windup, looking up to the stars, and like throwing like right down the, like, I don't understand how he did it. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I try to emulate, Fernando, and I'd look away from the play. My dad gets so mad at me because eventually the ball go 20 feet to the left and like whatever. But yeah, man, he was everything. And I don't know if you know this or not, but we have a huge Valenzuela mural out in right field, which is something that was designed by the architects, and again, a nod to our culture and our community, and here in Southern California. So when I saw that, man, I was like, oh, like,
Yeah.
wow.
Respect, man. I love that. Representation doesn't matter. I say this a lot on the show. I'm a Mets kid for through and through, but I loved Frank Thomas with the White Sox because he was just like what a strong black guy looked like to me, and it was just so cool
Yeah.
to see that power every night there. And he smacked around the Yankees, so it was all good. Uh, if I'm invited out, man, to see a game and you're my guy, like how do I experience the Tower Buzzers the best way? Where do I sit? What do I eat? Where do I hang out at the ball?
Gosh, we're so new still. The thing about the ballpark that's so cool is that there's a unique experience in every seating section. It's not like you're just sitting down left field or right field line behind the plate. There are three different options behind the plate. You can get down low in a regular aisle. You can get up high in like literally like beach furniture that's super wide and comfy. You can sit in the club level, which includes food and beverage. You can sit out in left field or center field, that's like right on the wall. It feels like you got like a mini green monster design out in right field or in left field, excuse me.
Yeah.
There's awesome grass berm area. That's probably my favorite part of the ballpark. The grass berm is very similar to what you would experience at like spring training game. Bring a blanket, come out, enjoy. That is going to be our cheapest point of entry into the stadium. On a Tuesday night, it could be $6, to come to a game. On a 4th of July, that ticket could be 10 or $12. It's literally our cheapest entry into the stadium, and it's my favorite because honestly, that's what I would have done as a kid, right? My parents didn't have a lot coming up, and we probably would have come to those games. And honestly, you see, like the first 3 games we had, that outfield was packed, and the kids were rolling down the hill. There were a few home runs hit out there. It was awesome to see it get activated like that with all the families, and they just had a grand time out there. So we got this awesome restaurant. If you want, also, another thing I would do is I would just buy a general admission ticket too, maybe, and go to the restaurant out in right center. We got a hangar that looks like a baggage claim area. We got bars, and we got 2 bars, 4 different food options, and it's huge. It's right next to the ice cream parlor. So, I just think there's so many different experiences for the diehard baseball fan. Sit behind the plate, behind the dugouts. If you want a social experience, go out left field or out in the hangar area. If you want a cheap entry, come into the get some grass seats with your family. Spend $40,
Yeah.
four entries to the grass area.
Well, I know where I'm going for my birthday this year, right in that town. As we wind this down, man, I got to ask the question we ask everyone that's on the show. I want your opinion about this one. Is baseball cool? Why or why not?
Dude, baseball is the coolest for several reasons. I think it's made the most impact socially, culturally than a lot of other sports. I think you think of Jackie and you think of Fernando. I just think what the sport means, as part of our cultural fabric, it's been significant for a very long time. I think minor league baseball is overtly cool, right? You think of the major leagues and whatnot, but minor league baseball is a different experience. You're seeing guys who are trying to get to the major leagues. These are guys that are professional contracts that made it. There's some of the very best in the country that made it to the college ranks or the high school ranks, and they're trying to get there. And you're seeing a different effort from some of these kids trying to get there. So I love seeing that hustle from them. I love seeing all the different creative minor league baseball promotions that minor league teams kind of come up with. I'm always jealous of some of the ones that I didn't think of, but I think minor league baseball, if you've got one in your market and you got one near you, go give it a shot, because that experience is probably one of the coolest sports experience you can have with your friends and family. There's no other industry that I want to work in. I love minor league baseball more than anything.
I would say I live towards the beach. I live in Culver City. And I think once you get over the mental hurdle of getting the car and driving out to a minor league park in Southern California, it's so much fun. You don't want to leave. It's a cool experience. You're outside. It's like a cookout kind of vibe. You know what I mean? I just love the fact that that's right here in this area. So
100%. And to see the amount of love we've been getting in Ontario from fans. When look, you got 3 other major league teams. You got 2 NBA teams. You got kinds of colleges, and people care. And we sold out the first 3 games. We have a few sellouts this next homestand. I think if you give them a good product and you give them a good experience, I think the sky's the limit, and that's what we're going to do here in Ontario.
No pun intended. Thank you so much for the time. Appreciate learning more about the team. And look, if I want to go buy some tickets right now, man, how do I go about doing that?
TowerBuzzers.com. Get your tickets at TowerBuzzers.com. We got some great promotions coming up the rest of the year. Bobbleheads, special appearances, legends coming every Tuesday night. We have Eric Gagne coming on Tuesday, Sean Green the following, Pedro Guerrero.
Oh, let's go.
May. All kinds of people coming out. So look at the schedule. Follow us on Instagram. Lots of good stuff coming up.
Oh, fantastic. And the Caribbean Heritage Night. You heard it here first.
Yeah.